Hi, welcome to my channel, My Heaven's Arrow, and I'm in the kitchen today. I'm really excited because I'm going to share with you a recipe that I've kind of been putting together for, well, pretty much all through quarantine, right? And it's going to be using pork rinds and cauliflower. What on earth could I be making? Okay, this recipe is super easy. It's basically a breakfast bake, and I've been putting together breakfast bakes for years. But once I went keto, I kind of changed things up. I used to put croissants in the bottom of my pans and whatever, but I've kind of changed that and kind of pulled that back and tried to get fewer carbs as possible. Let's go through the ingredients that we're actually going to be using today. So we're going to be using butter, about a tablespoon of butter. We're going to be using riced cauliflower. Now I'm just using the frozen. It's just the easiest for me, but you can just take regular cauliflower and grind it up if you like and use it that way, but this is just easier for me. So it's one package of frozen riced cauliflower. I have a half a cup of mozzarella cheese that I've ground up. You can buy it pre-shredded, no problem. And I have a cup of pureed. I basically put them in the grinder and ground them to fine of the pork rinds. Now I happen to use Old Dutch because those are my favorites, but you can use any kind that you want. You can use flavored ones, whatever you want in it. I just use the plain. I have a cup of shredded cheese, of cheddar cheese, which is just my cheese of preference. I have 8 ounces, a little over 8 ounces of cubed ham. I have 6 eggs. I have some heavy cream that I'm going to use, and then salt and pepper to taste. You can add so much more. You can add garlic, you can add peppers, you can add whatever you want. I mean, I've put chopped peppers in this. I've done broccoli in it as well. I've done all different kinds of variations, but I do this, I'm doing this as a very basic, simple one. My dogs tend to like to eat the food that I eat, and so I like to keep things very simple for them. Like they can have the ham, little pieces of ham or whatever. I don't like to put a lot of excess in there if I don't have to. But anyway, this is very basic, very simple. So let's get going and pull this whole thing together. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to throw the riced cauliflower into the microwave, and I'm going to cook that in there for 4 minutes, just so that it's not frozen anymore and it's lightly done. Normally it's a 6 minute 6 minutes in the microwave, but I'm going to put it on 4, and then we're going to move forward. You're also going to need a quiche pan or a bake pan. I've used several different sizes. You can use like the 9 by 13 pans, whatever, but today I'm just using the quiche pan for what I'm doing. I'm going to, while the rice is in the microwave cooking, I'm going to take a tablespoon of butter, and I'm going to put that in the bottom of the quiche pan. And I'm going to throw this in an oven that has been preheated to 425 degrees. The reason that I do that, the reason I have it at 425 degrees is for cooking the egg, making sure the egg is done and it cooks it faster. So 425. Okay, now that the rice is done, I'll just cut that open. And I'm going to remove as much fluid out of it as I can. And so what I have is just a nice, very thin strainer. And then I just use some paper towel because it's hot. I'm gonna put that in there. And I just squeeze the water out. And I use like a bowl that I've got here, and I just push it. And you can see, look at the water. You can see how much water and fluid is coming out of it. All right, so let me grab okay. So now here's the quiche pan. And it's got the butter all along the bottom. It doesn't. And I'm just going to mix everything right up in this bowl. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the rice. Yeah, it's still got more coming out. It's amazing how much liquid is in there. That's why you want to get out as much as you can. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take the rice now. That, and I'll put that right in the bowl or in the pan. There you go. Get rid of that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put in the pork rinds. And you know, when you're using pork rinds, you get a lot of flavor from that because you're getting the salt or whatever's in the pork rind itself. I'm putting in one whisked egg. And then our half a cup of cheese. So this is going to be our base. We just mix this all up. And because the butter was on the bottom, it's getting the bottom all greased for you. And the egg and the pork rind helps to bind it all together. And then what I do is I just form the crust on the bottom of the pan. Spread it out. It's nice and even. Like so. Perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this back in the oven. I'm going to pop this back in the oven, And while I'm putting together the egg mix that I'm going to be putting on, I am going to let this cook and start setting up. So it shouldn't take more than 5 minutes, if that. Shouldn't be in there very long. So now what I'm going to do is I'm making our egg mix. Alright, so now I'm going to just put the eggs in a mixing bowl. Wash the egg off my hands. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is whisking the eggs. And you can use more eggs if you want, if you're so inclined. Okay, so then I'm going to put in. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in some of the heavy cream. I've tried it with water. I've put water in and that works great. I've put in yogurt, that works great. I've even put sour cream in. You can put whatever you want in there. But I just put in a couple tablespoons full. Is something that I always do. I do like the heavy cream in there. And I put in a little salt, pepper. This is Himalayan salt. Put a little bit of that in there. Pink Himalayan salt, or you can put regular salt, whatever you want. Like I said, this is where I would add any of the additional spices or ingredients. I would add it at this point. But I'm just using salt and pepper. So I get a lot of flavor, like I said, from the pork rinds, from the cheese, from the ham. You get a lot of flavor. Okay, so now we're ready to start putting this thing together. So I can already hear this sizzling just from being in there for a couple of minutes. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, excuse me, I like the cheese to be mixed into the middle. So I'm going to take about half this cheese and spread it around the center, right over the top of the base. And then I'm going to take the ham and I'm going to put the ham all over. This is going to be a nice amount of ham. I mean, there's going to be a lot of ham in here. A lot of times if I put it into it's not as much if I put it into a 13 by 9 pan, but this is a smaller dish, so it's going to appear like it's a lot more than it is. So I put that all over like so, and then we're going to sprinkle the rest of the cheese all over. And lastly, give this another little bit. We're going to pour the egg over the top. will fill in all the remaining spaces. Look at that. It's going to be awesome. All right, so now I'm going to be throwing this into the oven at the 425. It's going to cook for about 20 to 25 minutes. That's where I'm going to start it, and then I'll start looking at it. Depending upon how big your quiche is, or not quiche, this isn't a quiche. So depending upon how big your pan is, or how much you've made, will depend on how long it takes to cook. I've had them that cook for 40 minutes, but that's in a bigger pan. So I'm thinking this is going to be done in about 20 to 25 minutes. We're going to put this in the oven, set our timer. And I'll check back with you when it's done. All right, it's done. I'm going to pull this out of the oven. Look at that, all bubbly. Looks delicious. Look at that. So now we're going to let it sit for 10 minutes so that it cools down a little bit and it all kind of gels together. It's going to be delicious. All right. Yum, look at that. All nice and cheesy and full of ham. I like to eat mine with a dollop of sour cream and a drizzle of homemade salsa. And there we are. So delicious. Delicious. Well, thanks for watching. I hope that you liked it, and if you did, please hit the like button so that I know that this is something that I should continue in the future. Anyway, enjoy, stay safe out there, and until the next time, be well. Bye now.